Welcome to A Matter of Pact, a Minions, Warmachine, Hordes podcast, celebrating strength through diversity. This is Gaston.
And this is Rickard, and we are your hosts for this podcast.
How you been doing?
I've been doing great. Been doing some grinding for the WTC and actually had the opportunity to go to a few tournaments and get some games in.
That's excellent. See, because we have to maintain a steady state of workload for this cast, because you've been grinding so much, I've just been on vacation.
Yeah, and I mean that seems super fair because last month I was on vacation.
So I didn't do anything for a month, and then I went into a tournament, so I was like, oh, this could be interesting.
Yep. Yeah, I mean it's amazing how much the Steamroller package has done for, I think, Warmachine lately. I think it's probably the most driving force now behind this construction. I don't know if you feel the same.
That's an interesting question, actually, because I have not specifically adjusted my lists for the packet, but I've definitely run into situations where it's bitten me pretty hard. So I probably need to be more proactive about doing that. So I can't really argue with that point.
Yeah, I do really feel that the scenario package has put like constraints on the list that they have to be able to move up and grab terrain as early as possible.
Moving up, like it really, I think, puts a bit more focus on like those small units.
Yeah.
So like you want to have like something like will work for food. It's beast, but you want to have, you know, the cloud gobbers or minus an edria or something that can grab those zones, and that's where I've been kind of falling down on a little bit, is I don't have anything to grab all those circular zones.
Yep. I guess we're gonna touch on this point later as well, but I think units are probably the thing that you can skip if you really need to. It's not good. But for example, Dreamer usually plays without units at all, and she likes the long scenario game. And the way I play Rask as well, I've also skipped units. And I think it's only an issue in like maybe 2 scenarios, and you can probably push for scoring with Beast and Souls instead. If you really need to.
I'd say that Grimkin are almost kind of a side exception because of the 4 Gremlin Swarms.
Yes, which are really good at blocking scenario.
Contesting that.
So yeah, I mean, not a super happy situation. I think it's workable if you get something good in exchange.
And I will say I've really enjoyed Mirage. I think it's actually a really fun scenario.
I think so too. Maybe it's because I play Rask and he loves that scenario, but I can see how maybe further down the line, maybe if you see like Haley 2 or something coming back, it could be an issue because it can be a super fast scenario, and if you don't manage to block the opponent's scoring on their own circle zone on like your turn, you could just straight up lose the next one.
Yeah, I mean, particularly with something hard control, Magnus 2 is really popular for that.
Yeah, I guess Gorton or just good old Haley or something. But
I mean, it's also worth highlighting that Minions has a shit ton of answers to that with all the Husks ambushing and ambushers, feral geists, gremlin swarms.
Yep. So I don't know. I don't know if it's really going to be a problem eventually, but I guess we'll see what happens with the meta. It's something that you do need to plan for.
Right, and I'd say the meta is going like super grindy now.
Yeah, it feels that way. I think clock management is probably a bigger factor now than it used to be in Mark II and like early Mark III. I find myself like if I get down on clock pretty early, I feel much more stressed out.
Yeah, and that's been a thing the more I play Jaga that I've noticed, and I mentioned it last cast, is the additional time and everything for Signs of Importance is kind of adds up really quickly.
Yep.
So. But yeah, let's get into your battle reports, your lessons learned.
Yeah. So during the summer, I went to a like console event called Battle at Lund in the southern part of Sweden, and played in 2 tournaments. We had the Swedish Masters on Friday, and then a team tournament on Saturday, and then on a Sunday we had invitationals. Spoiler alert, I did not qualify for the invitationals, but I had a fantastic weekend and I think I did pretty well. I went there playing my Rask Jaga setup, Rask with like Super Friends, Double Wrestler, a Spitter, Snake, Bear, and Pig with an extra Battle Boar, and the solos we discussed last cast, which is Bog Trog, Mist Speaker, Soul Slave, a Quack and Gub, and the Witch Doctor.
And you played that every single round?
I played that, every round except one, whenever I play Jaga, which is kind of how my list pairing is set up. Like, Rask is gonna be pulling most of the weight, Jaga is gonna be there most against Cryx. And the Jaga list is like triple Spitter, double Croak, a Sector Vault, and a Bog Trog Ambusher unit, double Mist Speaker, and the Soul Slave. So I'm not going to go through all my games in details. I'm just going to basically outline them and go through lessons learned. And my first game into the Swedish Masters was Rask vs Makeda 2. I always thought that like the Snake is probably pretty good into that, and it turned out, yeah, Snake is really good into Ferox, especially when they try to rely on high defense, tough, and Makeda's ability to keep him alive. So basically what happened, I got a starting roll, I think, he pushed forward, and Snake just goes out and paralyzes 3 cats, and here I say, okay, they're gonna die, so he just lets them die, so like 3 of the 10 kitty cats are dead.
That's a really big swing really quickly.
Yes.
If you haven't played against that, those 10 kitty cats are the worst thing in the world. It doesn't sound like, it's 10 kitty cats. No.
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 10 kitty cats just stay forever, and Radame and Mollycarn. I traded Ghost Pig early for Mollycarn just so I didn't have to think about like Rask getting assassinated or trying to figure out where I need to put my beasts to avoid the side steps.
Did you primal for that?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Because I've had that come up where defense 13 is kind of on that hairy spot.
It's defense 13 plus he can force you to reroll.
Right.
So hitting on hitting on 7s is not as good as hitting on 5s. Also, like a small piece of tech about the Ghost Pig, like if you're going to send him in for a trade, it's almost always better to just primal him, because primal sticks around for a round, so when he gets to retaliatory strike something, the round after he's still gonna be at mat 8, and you only lose 1 PNS.
Smart.
Pretty good. Makeda had to stay. I mean, she had to respect all my threat ranges. The kitty cats didn't like do a whole lot, and eventually the Snake just ate her because she was positioned a little bit too far forward. I mean, if she had put herself further back, the cats would have been out of her control range and would die super easily as well. So I just feel that as long as you keep the Snake safe, if you work from one flank to the other, it's gonna be pretty fine. And I mean, Rask also has a paralysis gun, so it's, yeah.
That makes sense. I mean, that's one we definitely talked about Maelok in the past on it to prevent the healing from tough.
Yes. When I came into this match, I was like, it sucks that I've actually dropped Maelok from my pairing, because Mortality would have been great and it would have shut down the kitty cat. So, but that's the reality right now. Second game, I actually played against my WTC teammate, and he played a pretty nasty Calandra list, which is basically Calandra with a minion unit of Croak Raiders, and then 2 units of like the new troll unit. They threw fire bombs. I'm not sure what they're called, right, off my head.
I'm trying to pull up the list right now. Fire Eaters, Northkin Raiders.
Yeah, the Northkin Raiders. That's the unit. So a minion unit of Croaks and the Northkin Raiders under Calandra. So you have this like AD line with defense 13 bodies under Starcrossed, which is never happy, and then between feet, oil, and their fire bombs, they do a lot of work, like a whole lot of work. And
I can only drool over that.
Yeah, and it's super binary, because like if you leave like 1 or 2 Croak Raiders alive and they can stay pretty far back, then I mean you basically have killed 0 Croak Raiders. So you need to like wipe them all, and then you can maybe start doing something. It was not a good matchup for Rask. The good thing is that he's on my team and I won't have to play against him in WTC. So
that's exactly what I said about Kruger too this weekend.
Yeah, and I don't think that Jaga would have had like a much better chance at it. So yeah, I mean, I think I'm just gonna have to soak that as a bad matchup if it becomes a thing in the meta for now.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, even with Rask's feet, so what he can do is he can just hold back, just wait until the feet wears off, because he can still advance. I think it's like 6 inches, and throw 5 more into his feet. So I can't really push that hard forward anyway. So it's not a happy situation.
I'm not sure. I think Jaga could be better into it. I have to look at the stats on the Raiders. I'm not particularly familiar with them. I haven't run against them yet.
I mean, it's...
But like I played Jaga into the Grimkin one who had Starcrossed.
Yeah.
And the fact that you can be out of it and shoot into it made a huge deal.
Yeah, but Calandra also has a control area of
Insanity
of 16 because he's Fury 8. Okay, so what actually ended up happening, because I was super down on attrition, and Snake is like living on 3 boxes behind a building, and is on fire with oil, and I was like, God. Please just give me this, because I think because he positioned his smaller or whatever like a random troll heavy like a little too close to her, which I could see with the snake, so I could actually like get the ghost snake to her. Fire goes out on the snake, so snake lives. So I actually have an assassination going. Like I do the full snake thing, get Dahlia's control into her, charge the troll, and start wailing on her. I do the grave mistake of actually boosting the first to hit, hitting on star-crossed 6s, because I wanted to get the paralysis and then get 3 more. She was on toe camp.
So that silence was me shaking my head.
Yeah, I know. Bad me. But I was like, I'm going for this. I take the 2 Fury, I make the last attack, and she makes a tough roll, of course.
Womp womp.
Womp womp. So that happened, but I mean it's an assassination I shouldn't have gotten off, and I mean the snake should have died from the oil fire. So, well,
you can't rely on fire
or corrosion. Anyway, next game was Rask into Makeda 1. I was against another Swedish WTC player on another team, and I was like, okay, still missing Mortality. That would have been nice. So this is basically Cetrati with what's the UA called? The spell immune guy. Vorkesh. Big
right?
Unit of kitty cats and swordsman. Again, I got like down on attrition because I misplayed it. I wasn't used to the matchup, and it turns out he misplaced Makeda 1, so Snake just killed her.
I love it when that happens. It's really nice to have things in the army where your opponent has to be respectful.
Yeah.
And then just stupid things just kind of get you.
Yeah, because I didn't realize that his feet gave him retaliatory strikes. I tried to like play around a lot of stuff and maybe try to get like paralyzed Cetrati and everything, and then it was like, okay, yeah, retaliatory strike. I was like, okay, this sucks. I'm not gonna punch anything. So what I should have done when he feated was just basically back off and counter feet and let him do basically nothing, and then start working again. Now he didn't put enough effort into killing Snake. He killed like a wrestler and something else, and then he just placed Makeda too far forward on like toe camp, and I was like, what's okay, is this a trick? Isn't like a primal snake with fury a problem for her? He was like, yeah.
One of my favorite things that I've seen with Makeda 1 that I don't think anyone really does is they took the Desert Hydra.
Okay.
They put Quicken on that, and they're using that as a jackhammer target.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's pretty sweet actually.
Yeah.
Because it runs like what, 14 inches or something?
That's something crazy.
Yeah.
But it's got that huge base. You've got your target, you got 2 inches, 5 inches, and then 6 inches for Makeda.
I guess you could do maybe Maelok also.
I'm assuming Maelok is kind of the traditional one.
Yeah.
But because he's, he gets in deep, he's a smaller base size,
yeah.
It's a lot riskier for her, I think. But
yeah.
I'm pretty fine with Snake eating her.
Yes. I mean, I was too. Like, in retrospect, I could absolutely play that matchup better now that I've seen it. And, yeah, next time. Anyway, moving on. Next game was against my own team captain. And since we like have...
Dude, is this like just your own team together having a tournament?
Yep. So basically, none of us really wanted to play, so we just diced off, and I won. And then we went to have a beer instead. So he's playing Mercs.
Wow.
It would have been Rask into Magnus too. It's pretty coin flippy. So we were like, yes, let's just rest and play some Watchmachine instead. And yeah, we did.
You all are just an inspiration to all aspiring gamers.
Yes, it was actually super sweet to just have a cold beer and relax for one entire round.
Who won the dice off?
I did. A hard roll of 4 into his 1. So good. Maybe it was
so obviously when you guys are going to WTC, you don't want him doing your rolling.
Nope. For the last round of the day, because the final was going to be on the second day, I got paired against another Swedish WTC player on another team.
Are there only like 10 people in Sweden?
No. I mean, it was a really big tournament. It was I think 64 players. We had players from Norway, from Denmark. I don't think we had Finnish Warmachine players, but it came for Guild Ball. But yeah, anyway, so I mean, I had a.
It reminds me of the first Gen Con I ever went to.
Yeah.
We all like got in a van together and we drove 10 hours, entered into a 77-person tournament. Round 1, I got the driver, and he's just like looking at me like, fuck.
Yeah. I guess this happened. So he was running Signar. He was running a Heli 3 Nemo 3 pairing, and it was in the Mirage scenario. I kind of want to drop Jaga because in Mirage I'm gonna pin him on playing Heli 3, but then I thought like, okay, so I mean I should play Jaga. But then it's like, I mean, I'm not playing to win anything right now. It's probably better to get some matchup experience. So I'm gonna try to drop Rask into her instead, just to see like how that matchup feels, if it's something I get going. And so I did, and then he was like, it's Nemo 3, because it's round 5, and fuck no, I'm not gonna try to position trenchers. So it basically come down to like a reverse list chicken, which turned out good in my way, and he also won the starting role. And like Rask into a shooting list on a fast scenario is pretty good.
Yeah.
Trust me.
I've heard good things about his feet.
Yeah. So basically, I mean, Ghost Pig is pushing Nemo so far back that he was actually in the corner of the kill box. I won on scenario by scoring 5 in 1 round. And the thing is, like, we've done all the packing up and talking and everything, and then like he comes up to me afterwards and was like, did you score like the prior turn? Because I scored 1. So basically what happened is that I won 5-1 instead of like 5-0.
It's a good thing our viewer base isn't big enough to actually hear this.
No, I know. It's I mean, it's a little bit. I mean, if I had known about it, because I mean, I just said like, okay, if I score 5 now, I'm gonna win, and he was like, oh, yeah. I mean, it was the last round of a long day, and if I had been aware that I would not win, I could probably play that turn much better. So I think in the end, I think he would have had problems contesting my own circle zone, and I would probably be able to get it, because Nemo was also like really pushed back. I managed to kill a Storm Strider with the snake top of 2, because he,
oh my god.
I mean, he was super mindful about placing it outside of the snake's threat range, but then he was like, and then a horse moves here. I was like, overtake, and of course I missed the charge on the horse. I needed to roll a 7 on 3 dice. I missed, so I had to like buy 1 more attack. The Storm Strider lives on like a handful of boxes, but the Spitter finishes it off. So
okay.
So I mean, he was already down 1 Storm Strider. He had 2 horses on 1 flank, and then other stuff was on the other side. So, but yeah. So I mean, I ended the day 4-1. I guess you can say technically 3-1, because one was like a 1 dice off, and I felt really good about Rask, just dropping him all the time. So I didn't get to play against Cryx, but that's how it is. Anyway, going into the second day with the team tournament, which was with 2 of my teammates, my captain Hugo and my protected buddy Gustav. our first game was into, or my first game was into Kolgrima, and I played the same list. It's like, it's absolutely playable. She played the Northkin theme with double ambush bears, fire eaters, like champions and stuff. And I probably gave the fire eater stuff too much respect.
You can give them too much respect?
Yeah, like I feel that they're doing like really good boosted fires. They can actually absolutely wreak havoc on my support souls in the backline. But I think that if they go and like do the thing as salty beasts, I think they're probably not gonna do a whole lot, because the Rask is what it does. When you send it into something like a troll line, I mean, you're basically trading heavies for their stuff. So I mean, if I'm going to send Brian into champions, for example, Brian is gonna die. It doesn't matter if Brian is at like half boxes or full boxes.
True.
If that makes sense. So what we did was like trading back and forth. I had kind of cold dice, and because bears are perfectly seated, the ambush bears, I mean, they can just walk into my feet and just kill a heavy if you're not careful. And then you have what's the new combat solo called? The one that has got like 2 cards worth of rolls on one side.
Was it Valka, that one?
Yes, exactly that one. Basically, I went in with a wrestler on one bear. It's like, do you want to countercharge me in the butt? He was like, yes, because the snake was gonna finish off the bears anyway if that failed. So countercharges, doesn't remove any aspect. Wrestler kills the bear, turns around, overtakes into Valka, like does one attack, is like retaliatory strike, wham, and then like the wrestler is at 14 boxes. I was like, fuck this shit game.
Who approved this?
Yeah, it's like, why am I not in the Sid forums more crying about stuff? Like, I don't need this in my life. But anyway, it came down to me leading on scenario, like I think 4-2, and I was not looking like super happy in attrition because he had a heavy running around on his side that I really couldn't deal with because I didn't have that much stuff left. So what I did was to run the Soul Slave over to the scenario to contest over there. And then the hero in my list, Croak, went up and cast Mudfoot on the big troll heavy. So he couldn't actually reach my objective to score next turn. I cleared up some stuff, and I had managed to take like 3 scenario points on the next turn for the win afterwards.
So we're all in agreement that Mudfoot's overpowered.
Mudfoot is super overpowered. It's like surpassing the Trollkin Sid. Yeah, so that was a pretty fun Mudfoot success story anyway, so don't forget about it late game, especially when we don't have a lot of models left.
Yeah, it's it's that 1 in 20 games where it happens, and then you're just like, yep.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's a point you can actually make, that once the lines have connected, I don't think that Enliven is that important anymore, because as soon as they have the ability to box stuff in or just shoot Enliven off with a random attack or something, you might start to look at other use of utility, and like all of Venom's, Mudfoots and stuff like that. It's I mean, it's not bad.
No, I mean 2 Venoms is fantastic, and like if you start taking with someone like Jaga, then you get Signs of Importance Venoms.
Yes. Anyway, our team ended up winning that round. I think 3-0.
Nice job.
They went up to the second game, and I played Rask into Dreamer, and it was, I think, a Dreamer list with 4 heavies, 3 Cage Ragers, and 1 Skin and Moans. And I think that's better for Rask. I played the Dreamer matchup now, I think, 3 times. I think it's very depending on the player and the list build, in my opinion, because Rask has a lot of tools. I mean, you're going to be basically trying to outplay each other and doing heavy trading, and in the long game I kind of feel that the Dreamer has it.
Yeah, I think, like, because the Grimkin heavies are really good and really inexpensive,
Yeah.
relatively speaking, but Rask's feat, I think, guarantees you alpha, and if you can alpha hard enough, and in the proper order so that you don't trigger something stupid like Sacrifice or the -2 speed one, then you've got a lot going for you. I guess All Fall Down is actually pretty pertinent. Rask as well. What?
Like I thought about it. I don't think it's that good. Probably. I mean, Sacrifice shouldn't play into it.
Sacrifice is a gotcha.
It's a gotcha. I mean, you always have to like try to play around all the Arcana. Rask bursts so hard that he's gonna go in, send in a beast. If you send in a heavy on his heavy, that heavy's gonna die. So Sacrifice shouldn't play into it, I think, if you manage to play around it. All Fall Down is the same. It's like if you're sending in a heavy, that heavy's gonna die. Anyway. The turn after, like no matter what happens. Probably. Maybe not Snake. But I mean, that's immune to All Fall Down anyway.
Well, and that's kind of one of the things that I like about taking the horrors with Rask, is you can go in and you can kind of pull something back to you, and you can have admonition on that horror. You can send Brian in, kill it, and then souieeeeet backwards, and then have your feet up.
Yeah.
So now the only thing they have access to is an admonition horror, so you get kind of a micro alpha before the main alpha.
If you can pull off both the admonition horror and a souieeeeet brine without giving anything up, that's a great position, no matter what you're playing into.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's one of the things I try to do, or look for the opportunity for almost every game.
Yeah. So anyway, because I only had like a single skin and moans, and speed 4 KJs isn't very funny into Rask stuff, which has great extensions, and also Enliven is really good against the Dreamer placing spell, Abyssal Gate.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because it's like they have to damage it to place it 3 inches, and then just Enliven away again.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. I mean, he definitely has good tools.
They only had 1 skin and moans?
Yeah.
That seems really unusual, because usually I'm seeing like 3 skin and moans and 2 cage ragers.
Yeah, I think 3 cage ragers and 2 skin and moans is probably like a pretty standard build.
Okay.
And I mean, he did use 3 lights instead. He had like I think 1 Gorehound, 1 Rattler, and 1 of the Frightmares. So I mean, it wasn't like a standard Dreamer list.
Okay.
Which I think gave me absolutely an edge in that in that matchup. So I ended up winning eventually.
Good job.
Yeah, good to me. Woo. The team won that round as well, so we were still in the winners bracket, and then we went into a team of former WTC players: Norbert Braunhuber, Jonas Brandt, and Pat Dunford. And I got to play against Denito Dark Host on Mirage with my Jaga list. Woohoo!
Yay!
So we didn't have any Dark Industry lists. I think he had Slaughter Feet and Dark Hosts. And I was like, okay, I can actually play Jaga into this. It went really well on attrition. The Jaga list did exactly what it was supposed to do. The problem was that I didn't really have any models to score scenario. So I got like on a back foot on the scenario. Croak Raiders were fantastic, killing stuff. The Vault did like a lot of stuff as well. He did have some cold dice. I forgot to, after having the Vault activated, to kill off one of my own Void leeches, just to give it 1 more soul. So it got beaten on by like a Stalker and 2 Bane Warriors, I think they're called now. Old Bane Thralls.
Yeah, I think so.
And Tartarus. And he rolled pretty low and left it on 1 box, which is like all the boxes need to do stuff next turn. Then he played real aggressive, defeated, and because I had sent out the Soul Slave just to try to approach a flag, Jaga had to be in a really bad spot because she wanted to ghost walk the Sacred Vault, and which gave Denny an assassination round next turn. And it was a really good assassination. Basically, she charged Jaga, teleported her, I think, like 6 or 7 or 8 inches. Did really low damage on her on 1 camp. Dara goes in, nokes her, does no damage against her armor 18. Then Stalker goes into on her when she has Dark Shroud. So she's hitting at dice -2. 4 attacks, and I think he whiffs 2 of them, leaving Jaga on 7 boxes. That was also like a kind of a undeserving victory, but I did get some good insights into this because this list is sort of what Jaga is supposed to play into, And I just realized that I don't have enough solos that can meaningfully control flags in the list at all, because you really want to have the mist speakers to be free with the positioning to just cast guidance on the speeders, and the soul slave also has to be able to just put up ghost walk wherever it wants to be, so you can't just have them running off the flags, especially deep into enemy territory. So I did some changes to the list afterwards. It's gonna be the same list I'm playing at the WTC, so I'm gonna drop a speeder. I'm just gonna play 2 speeders, and I'm just put in a lot of solos instead. The speeder is exchanged for 3 husks, a totem hunter, and a swamp garbage chef.
I've run the totem hunter with her a lot, and I really like it.
Yeah, so it absolutely gives me a good target for Greywind, which I haven't had before. I'm not sure if that's actually a good idea, because she's always so low on camp. I mean, if I spend 1 more fury on upkeeping Greywind, I'm gonna have like 2 boosts on her feet, which is not super happy.
I mean, I usually start with it on turn 1, and then I just drop it as needed.
I'm thinking I'm probably gonna start with Battle Host on turn 1 and then drop it, because I don't think I need the movement on the speeders that much.
That could work.
Or I mean, I don't.
And then you, I mean, if well, then you can just upkeep it until he dies for free, and then you're not actually costing yourself anything.
Yeah, and then I can, like, if I super need to, I can recast or upkeep Battle Host if I need to. I think having the ability to just pop my own husks into stuff with stealth or high defense is gonna be like a pretty good thing. I'm not sure, is it blast damage? I don't think it is.
No.
No? So I mean, it's gonna circumvent like stuff that ignores that. It's a power 12.
Statistics raiders.
Yeah, Slaughter Fleet. And I guess all the Ogrons were probably also gonna suffer from that. So I mean, I feel pretty good about the list, even though I'm losing 1 heavy. I still think that the 3rd speeder is kind of like diminishing returns, since it can't get the guidance against stealth.
One of the other things you could do is you could fiddle with 2 husks and drop a husk and a chef for Quack and Gob.
Yeah, but like if they're so deep that they are harassing my speeders and Jaga, it's like the enlivens are not gonna help. I reason.
Yeah. I really like the enliven on them because of Carapace.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could also make the point for Lung Chops instead of the Totem Hunter for more template.
I've been trying it a lot with Long Chops, and I ended up letting him go.
Okay.
It just, over the course of X number of games, he just wasn't impactful enough.
No, I mean, I can see that, and I super like the Totem Hunter dojo-wise into Stalkers, because we're seeing a lot of Stalkers into Cryx also.
Yeah, and her feat's great into Stalkers.
Yeah, so I mean, that's what happened also. Like, he pressed hard with the Stalker. I think I feated on, yeah, okay. So he had a Wraith Engine, Bane Riders, some Stalkers, and like 2 units of Bane Warriors, and like a small unit, or like a unit of Cephalix Overlords. So he pushed pretty hard, and I feated only on like the Wraith Engine, like 1 or 2 horses and the Stalker, and I boosted only into the Wraith Engine and the Stalker, I think. Just ripped up both of the arms, got some damage into the Wraith Engine, and then I just removed the Wraith Engine with 2 speeders and a Sacred Vault, which is absolutely supposed to happen. So I mean, at least the list does what it's supposed to do, even in theory.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. I also, like, after thinking about it, I came up with a little bit of fun Husk tech dojo, and that is if you actually plant a Husk on a flag, and they just kill it just to get rid of it or contest, the AoE it leaves is going to cover the flag, so like single wound solos can't control it. Pretty fun.
I guess my counter question would be, how often are you running into single wound solos?
Next question, please.
I mean, I like it. I mean, I think it's great. And the other thing you can do is defensively, you can keep any of their single wound stuff from getting to your flag to like contest things like that.
Absolutely. You also get, I mean, you're also able to get some value out of like leftover Croak shots. If they're going up into stealth, for example, and speeders need to be elsewhere, you can just park a Husk with some Bane Warriors and just have the Croaks shoot it instead.
Oh yeah, I mean, Popping Husks is amazing. It's
So
actually harder for me to not pop them.
we ended up winning that round as well. So we are still in the winner bracket, and we're actually in the finals. I went up into Anamag, and I played a matchup before. It's doable with Rask, but it's such a slogfest. Like playing around the Hellmouths with your value pieces is such a chore. It drains so much clock, especially if she is playing with Spell Martyr, so she can gallows in addition to doing the drags, because otherwise you can just do the body system. I ended up getting like super low on time, so I think I ended like my 5th round by clearing the center zone, getting his objectives, and I had 40 seconds left on my clock, and I was like, well, it's time to go for turn 7. So basically what happened is that he was also pretty low on time, so he actually clocked out when Golub went into Rask for the assassination.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then at that time I had like maybe like 12 seconds or maybe even less left after just doing all the bookkeeping needed.
Oh my God.
But sadly we lost that round because my teammate got like top of 2 by Krieger 2. Then my team captain Hugo just got stressed out in the end and didn't assassinate properly.
Oops.
Whoops. I did get to spam heal Scarath again, like a second use for Quack and Gub, because he started by shooting the snake, cranked his damage rolls, and I was like, okay, feet with Rask, Dahlia like heals it for 3 or something, and then Quack and Gub goes up and okay, double heal, and it was like basically okay again, and it continued like the next turn and like the next turn. So I mean, it did work. Less just going on double heal duty, which I think is fine, because when you're going into matchups, especially that are heavy hitting infantry, Enliven isn't that valuable. It's mostly against like single target beasts or warjacks that you really want it.
Well, also particularly against Anamag because of the feat with the no healing. So you take the free strikes, but then you won't be able to get your heavy back.
Yeah. I think that Rask actually has some tools against it. Especially Dahlia can be super crippling. That's actually what happened. So I had explained what Haunting Melody does. I had parked her like in front of the Blightbringer, so she had both of the leaders for the Chosen and the Warmongers in her control, and it was
That's
like
great.
okay. So like after looking at it, doing it, I was like, okay, now we can trample the Blightbringer over her. Doesn't really do anything, but then Anamag can activate Hex Blast away, Haunting Melody. Yeah, and then like I'm gonna lose a lot of stuff. But that didn't happen. He was like, activate Anamag, feet. I was like, yes. And then it's like, she was gonna charge. I was like, sorry man, you can't give the charge order. I was like, oh okay. And then he just walked up and I think swung at the Rustler twice, didn't remove any aspects with the Chosen. And it was like, okay, the Warmonger is gonna go mini feet with Gorag, Rotten Eye. Yeah, and anyway, the new Koda guy, I was like, and Charles, I was like, sorry, man.
That's fine because he's so freaking broken that he deserves what he gets.
Yeah. So
God, I hate that guy.
Yeah, I mean it's
the model, not your opponent.
No. He was delightful. We had it was a super good game. It's sad it came down to time. Basically, it would have been great to just try to grind it out and see what have happened, but I mean that's what happens in tournament play. So yeah, some really good games, and doing like the single loss over the weekend. I feel really good about the Rask list, and it's gonna be interesting to see how it works in WTC. I do have some like after WTC. I think I'm gonna try to go back to like a gunline style Maelok, because I think that Mortality is it's probably too good to be left out in the meta now. You have Chosen, you have maybe like Scorn is pretty versatile. You might be able to see some of the Makedas because they are good. They have good scenario presence. We have Thorn on the horizon now. The CID just dropped and they get the rapid healing as well.
Yeah, they're going to be interesting to see how that ends up playing out, because they can get really high defense too.
Yeah. And I mean, you have Troll King champions as well on the Kolgrima. So I just feel that Mortality is probably gonna be very valuable. I don't want to play the posse style list. I want to try a more like maybe just take the Jaga list, tweak it a little bit, and just substitute for Maelok as a Mortality bot.
Yeah, I'm definitely keen to see how it plays out in the WTC with all the different Maeloks.
Yes.
Because, I don't know, it's just maybe I'm calling it wrong and maybe I'm being naive, but I think that all the other medium-based infantry are outpacing Maelok.
That's my feeling as well.
In the sense that they have similar durabilities, but Maelok doesn't bring the damage output that the other ones do.
Yeah, pretty much. And I mean, that's what I felt in Paris as well, so that is why I also decided to drop him. I think that if you know how to play against him, he is good, but he's not backbreaking.
Yeah, I mean, you basically have the turn, feet, time walk.
Yeah.
But even then, I mean, you take a bunch of Croaks, you light a bunch of Gators on oil fire, and you see what happens when they're armor 16.
Yeah, pretty much. So because my teammate plays Protectorate, we've been trying the Maelok into Harby, the matchup, and like, originally I was like, yeah, he's got Mortality, should be fine. It turns out that is not the case at all. It's heavily skewed into Harby's favor. If he plays the it's not the example in Attrition. It's the one where you can have paladins, and as soon as you kill a thing, his whole list lights up like a Christmas tree. I don't know what the theme is called, but basically what happens is that he's got his
masses.
Faithful Masses. Yeah, that's the one.
I got this image of, like, you know, when Mario's hitting the little box of coins, it's like bing, bing,
yeah,
bing.
yeah. I mean, and it's also that much value that happens for the protected player. So my teammate was playing in the solo tournament, Harbinger against Maelok with Posse, a single wrestler. I was like, this should be pretty fine for him, and I'm looking over at the table because I'm done with my round already. I see the Maelok player having, it was in the fast scenario, which is not Mirage.
Spread the net?
Yes, thank you very much.
That's pretty good for me just listing names.
Yes, I'm super impressed. I mean, so the Maelok player has huddled Posse around his own flag with a mist speaker, and I'm like, okay, maybe he will actually have some trouble getting to that. And then I just like tilt my head a little bit more and see that no, there's actually a Kiki monk standing over there, contesting the flag, and that's like defense 20. No, it's 18. Defense 18, Kiki monk.
Yeah, 18.
So Posse needs to have hit 12 on rerolls to hit it, and if they miss, he's gonna just walk away into of course Harbinger aura. So first you need to land Mortality, and then you have the book in your face, which you can't put Mortality on. So it's miserable, and if you kill like an Idrian, which he uses to bait, all the Jacks gets +2/+2, all the Paladins get Righteous Vengeance, and it's just ugly. And I think like one of the Horse champions tied up like one unit of Posse the entire game, just around the flag. So yeah, it might look good on paper. I don't think it's good at all for Maelok.
So, you know, you're talking about Maelok and Gunline and Chosen Champs and Tharn.
Yeah.
Dracodile. Coming back.
Maybe not.
Blind Spray.
Yeah, maybe a double spitter.
You're no fun.
Yeah, so because Dracula is like what, 30, 34?
It's pretty pricey.
Yeah.
But I mean, it gets up to armor 22, and I mean, a blind spray is not bad because it'll shut down a lot of those units.
I mean, I guess you would save a mist speaker as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe for next episode, Dojo.
Yeah, I'll get around to trying it in a couple months.
Yeah. Anyway, that's what I had to bring to this minion-themed buffet.
You've definitely been very busy.
And I think you've been too, right?
Yeah, I basically did nothing all month until literally yesterday. So, a freaking team tournament started at like 1 p.m. and I think I got home around 2 a.m. and then I had to roll out of bed and record this. So I'm still a little bit weird.
Yeah. So you haven't had time to process, but everything is still fresh.
Yeah, we'll go with everything is still fresh because I was totally not being an idiot at 11 p.m. last night. So I ended up as 3-man team tourney. I ended up with Mercs and Circle on my team. So we were team wood-fired pork for sale.
Nice.
Yes, I'm gonna try to incorporate all the elements into the dish and then elevate it.
So you played pigs, right? Because
I played a pig. I played more pig than you did.
Oh, nice.
Because I had a meat thresher.
Ooh.
So I did actually play Rask, Thresher, and then Jaga was my other pair. So just quick stepping through them. First round was Cryos 2 in Exemplar Interdiction. I dropped Jaga into that and pretty straightforward win. Just grind him down. He doesn't have the threat ranges to get to her, essentially.
Yeah.
It's been his other pair was Vindictus, and I've actually played practice round against that, and even with the feet, he doesn't have the speed to get there.
So it's just the like the slowness of the list and your volume of attacks.
Yeah, I mean they're single wound, low defense. They're exactly what she likes to prey on.
Yeah.
So the game ended up. I'm sorry, what?
So what was your Jaga list actually?
Oh, why do you ask me questions like that? Yeah, I totally know my Jaga list.
Double Croaks, Sacral Vault.
2 Bone Swarms, a Wrestler, a Soul Slave, Sacral Vault, double Croaks with Void Leeches, Ambushers, Min Units, Boilmaster, Spirit Cauldron, Totem Hunter, 2 Husks, and a Misspeaker.
Okay.
Because I was starting with the double Spitter Wrestler battle group, and I ended up dumping the Spitters for the Bone Swarms and more stuff. Because I wanted to keep the punch of having the melee stuff, and the Spitters, I love the Spitters with her, I can't complain about them at all, but they weren't getting me across the line.
Yeah. So what's the thought about having the Mist Speaker? Because you have the only like boostable shooting you have is the Sacral Vault, right?
Basically magical weapons for a Bone Swarm to go in and take out a Wraith Engine.
Okay, so it's like an anti-Wraith Engine tech.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what I would drop into Cryx.
Yeah.
And originally that was Long Chops, and that's where it's kind of a floating solo, and I don't know, on paper it seems like it should be awesome with her and him, and just after 6 games or so, I wasn't seeing. It could be that I was misplaying, it could be the matchup issues, but it wasn't happening. Like, I literally was never able to place a trap in somewhere that meant anything, things like that.
Yeah.
I don't know, I ended up leaving him at home. But yeah, so the first round was it's a grind. It's just like playing Jaga into Testament of Menoth, Exemplar Interdiction, Vindictus, Harbinger. I'll play her into Harbinger. I think she's great into that. It's just grind. So I think at one point I had like 18 minutes left on my clock, and he had 42 minutes.
Wow, yeah.
But everything more or less ended up dying. Ended up putting a Wrestler onto Cryos to kill him after shooting him a couple times with the Sacral Vaults and a couple Croaks.
Yeah, you basically just kill his list and kill Cryos.
Yeah, pretty much. He had to come forward to kill stuff at some point. Second game, I dropped Rask into Thagrosh 1, and that was Oracles of Annihilation, interestingly. The other pairing was Anamag with Primal Terrors, so I figured Rask could kind of play into either one. And he had 2 Thrones, Typhon, Carnivian, Thagrosh, Minion Hex Hunters with Baal, Sorceress on Hellion, and Assorted Support. I ended up losing that one on Scenario. It was Spread the Net, and he was finally able to, because he had like a unit of, what are they called, Sorceresses? A little 3-man unit that hands out puppet strings.
Yes.
They were the ones he was able to clear a circle and start scoring with that unit. And because he had the big old thrones, I couldn't physically get to his zone to contest. But I ended up going in, killing 1 throne with Brine, and then suing him back, and then feeding. So I was able to get a throne, quote unquote, for free.
Oh, yeah.
And then the next turn, Brine went and killed the other throne. And then cycled Fury off of Brine onto the Wrestler, had a Swamp Whirlpool and Typhon, and the Wrestler did not kill Typhon.
Oh.
So it left him on like 3 health. So another Horror came and just finished the job, which is fine, except that it doesn't RFP him unless the Wrestler kills him.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like, and there were like no complaints about dice. It worked out that way.
Yeah.
I was rolling pretty solid, pretty hot all game, but because that one specific dice roll happened, I wasn't able to catch up on scenario because it'll bring Typhon back. You got to go back through him again. He's excessive healing and armor 20. So the other thing about this is he had the Naga Night Lurker.
Yes.
And he got crit Shadowbind on the Meat Thresher.
Uh-oh.
And yeah, that was not cool, particularly with the Sorceress shutting down shooting.
Yeah.
So the Meat Thresher got to swing on a grand total of 3 of the Hex Hunters all game, and then they kept Shadowbinding it too.
Value.
Baal gives it to him.
Yeah.
So, and he always kept him on the other side of a forest, so I could never get there. So that was a little aggravating for the poor Meat Thresher. But otherwise, I had given up Rorsch Brine, the Battle Boar, and that was. I feel like there was a couple solos or something.
Yeah.
And I had gone through both of the Thrones and Typhon twice, and then was into kind of his support stuff. So attrition, huge thumbs up. Scenario, smart gameplay, huge thumbs down for me.
Yeah.
Next one is Rask versus the Child. Definitely very respectful of the Child's threat ranges. So I was able to use the feat to get an awesome Alpha Strike that got 2 out of the 3 Skin and Moans and the Cage Rager.
Nice. Yeah.
So they're basically down to 1 heavy and then like a couple lights and the support and what was it, the pumpkin guys, whatever the hell they were called. Yeah, the Death Knell.
Yeah.
But then I was all fat and dumb and happy behind this wall, and the Child rolls up and here's a Force Hammer needing whatever ridiculous number to hit and nails it. Rask goes flying, and this Snake Slayer walks up and puts 2 shots into him.
Wow.
Like, son of a bitch.
Whoops.
So I have 1 transfer, and I basically got just stupid dice lucky and lived on 3 health and corroded.
Skill.
Yeah, it's one of those times where you're like, I'd rather be lucky than good.
Yep. It happens.
So, and that was kind of a theme with this event is like, even when it's not going great, don't give up. Like, there's always a way. And, I got such a solid alpha that it should have been kind of coasting, but just that assassination run, and I think statistically it's like a solid run too. So there's literally always a way. Never ever give up.
No, I mean just go for it. I mean, if you roll bad, the opponent might as well roll bad. So
yeah. And then my final one, which was really late at night, was Rask versus Convergence Locke.
Cocklock.
Cocklock.
Yeah.
Yep, we're cocklock and loaded.
Yep.
So I managed to pull out a win on that one. Like, this is what happens when it's late at night. I got Brian all the way to Prime Axiom, and then I'm like, you know who doesn't have rage on them? Brian.
Oh no.
So, like, all hail Ninja Pig for freaking doing that like a champ. He still got the Prime Axiom down to like 8 health or something. 8 or 10 or 12 health.
Yeah.
Without rage. So I'm like, you did what you could, man. I'm so sorry.
I think we should actually like make little Ghost Pig tracker cards with all the effects that you have to like. You have to check off this. I have Ghost Walk. I have Boundless Charge. I put Fury or Primal, and I put the Rage on it.
Yeah, and I was just playing like Order of Activation issues because he had gotten a what's it called, Bombshell.
Unsure.
Like that, crit.
I'm not familiar with Locke.
It's a spell that it's an AoE 3, and when it hits something, it like flings them all away. So he had flung my Wrestler back over a couple support models, so I was trying to stand them all up and fix my positioning.
Yeah.
which is how I managed to forget, and that's just not impressed with myself. So, and I had used a squid to clear the way as well. So I ended up losing the squid, brine, and then the Primaxium actually came on and took out the meat thresher as well on Rask's speed turn.
Yeah.
Because it is speed 7.
Mm.
So, in the spirit of just stacking the hell out of things, I took Scarith, I dropped a Veil of Mists, and then I gave it Ghost Walk, and then Rage, and then Fury. That's it. What else did it have? Puppet Strings. Dolly ran to get within 8 inches of Locke.
Yeah.
And then I killed her.
Yeah. Which is how you do it.
And he's like, looking, I'm just making like a pile of tokens around this model. It's like buried treasure going with the snake.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh. So I kind of... That was dumb.
Yeah.
It's just dumb.
Predator Press took away the ability to throw the snake, but now I have like Ghost Pig and Ghost Snake instead, so all good.
And like with the child game, they had almost wandered into piggy range just there randomly.
Yeah.
So it's one of the things about Rask that makes him so great, and it's kind of similar to Arcadius, is they must respect you.
Yes.
And if they don't respect you, it's just gonna kind of snowball against them. But some other stuff from the match, that particular final one, like I said, is really late at night. We threw our Merc to the wolves.
Yeah.
And he had to play an Ostrom versus Ostrom mirror match.
Ugh.
So he came out of that pretty drained. He actually won on scenario against Ostrom with Ostrom.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So and some other fun parts is we had 2 Team Ramrods in the tournament, which caused a whole lot of confusion.
Just independently of each other?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Are you familiar with Team Ramrod? Do you have that in Sweden?
I am not.
Okay, so if you don't need to know anything else about America other than watching the movie Super Troopers.
Okay. Will
so
do.
Team Ramrod is from that movie. And it'll teach you everything you need to know about America. So, cultural awareness.
Yeah, I'll put it on my list.
So, yeah, so I mean, I thought it was pretty good showing 3-1. Our team went 3-1 as well.
Yeah.
The Thagrosh loss was a rough one, but I mean, it was a solid game. Definitely a lot of things that I need to go back and kind of look through there and see risks that I should have taken that I didn't take. Like one of them was I could have moved Rask up to paralyze Typhon.
Yes.
But I was afraid that moving him up like that would have let him get like a Carnivian spray and a Hellion spray and whatever Thagrosh can toss out. The flip side is that would have let me RFP Typhon. Because then all my attacks are hitting.
Yeah.
And how do you balance out that risk? I opted to not take the risk, and you see how it went. So
I just feel that Rask is usually pretty safe, especially if you have like 1 or 2 camp or something. Especially
right.
if you're talking, because he's still like 15 boxes. That's pretty decent. He usually has the extra life from the Mist Speaker.
And I don't have one in that list.
You don't? Okay.
I do not. And the Mist Speaker is in the Jaga list.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, you always have to be careful so you don't get like a big thing to your face. But if it's like a couple of spells and maybe a ranged attack, I think you're gonna be fine with like 1 transfer probably. And paralysis is a really good control element from the gun.
Well, and it cycles back into like everything being mat 6 versus Typhon defense 13.
Yeah.
And I missed two or 3 attacks. I can't remember how many.
Yeah, I mean defense 13 is terrible. You don't want to hit on 7s when you're sending in a Rustler. You probably want to primal or get paralysis going.
Yeah, and I did not primal.
Yeah.
That's I mean primal would have fixed it too.
Yes.
And I've got that in that list for that purpose. And so like I said, that's the one that like I focus on the most because it was a loss, and I feel like there are things I could have done better. But I'm generally very happy with. I traded up the entire time.
Yeah.
Like I swapped out Brian for 2 thrones.
Which is a fantastic scenario. I mean, anytime you can get the Zoe off, it just leaves you in such a great position when you don't actually have to trade the pig.
Yeah, and I was able to Sui into the child as well.
Mm.
So I got a Skin and Moans with Brian and then Sui'd back.
So
So
that's definitely something you want to try to set up if you're going, especially if you're going first. You can try to put Brian behind the Rask cloud, touching the line of sight obstruction in the middle, just so he can activate independently of Rask next turn, do his thing, and then get Sui'd back.
yeah, and it's funny because like in all the times I've been playing Roshan Brian, until I started playing him with Rask, I never really Sui'd. But he's got the tools to make it work.
Yeah, especially now that you have access to the Shadow Walk, Shadow Walk.
God, Shadow Walk is so good.
Yes, it's
So
it's amazing.
It changed the faction. It's our
Yeah.
choir.
Yeah.
Which Doc Crocs are a minion choir.
Yeah, boost Rask, boost Arcadius, for sure.
So all of our battle reports aside, we also got a preview of the WTC lists. The most obnoxious part first is obviously Cryx's 62 lists.
Yeah, out of
Or 62 players.
Yeah, oh, 64 teams rather.
And then the next closest is 33 for Signar.
Yep.
That's... It's
So
not Warmachine without Cryx.
yeah, no, I mean, back to the good old days. Personally, of course it shows something, but I'm not sure it's because Cryx is like overpowered now. That's not really my gut feeling. They have fantastic variety, for sure. I don't think playing into them is as tough as it was in Mark II, is my feeling, probably.
I don't disagree with that. And particularly because Minions has gotten, since Mark II, a lot of answers for Cryx.
My guesstimate is that, of course they're powerful, but they're powerful because of variety. I don't think that they are like inherently OP. And I think as we see more variety come to the other factions through CIDs, I think it's going to even out.
And it's weird because Cryx, I think, still has the most themes of any faction.
Yes.
And they have the fewest, like, dead themes.
Yes.
Like, even post-nerf, I think Ghost Fleet is probably still good.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I think Ghost Fleet can be a sleeper. If you're not prepared for it, it can attrition super well.
And then you still have Black Industries, Slaughter Fleet's coming.
Dark Host is Dark Host.
Dark Host. What's the statistics one? That's not Slaughter Fleet? That's
Isn't it also Slaughter Fleet? Except you
so then you have the Troll Slaughter Fleet and the Statistics Slaughter Fleet.
I think so. Yeah.
So I mean, I think rather than like, hey, Cryx needs to be nerfed, it's hey, everything needs to be brought up to this level.
I would agree. Absolutely. I mean, I think you could look at some stuff like Black Industries because Privateer Press has never really been good at balancing power multipliers. I mean, you have seen Una 2, you have had Mad Dogs, you had Bradigus back in Mark II. Like, whenever they just stack buffs on cheap models, it breaks down somewhere along the way.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think that also the Black Industries is what makes it hard to fight against Cryx currently, because it skews the list pairing so much. It's hard to get like one Cryx drop in your list.
But I think we're also kind of fortunate in that Jaga can actually take that.
Yeah, it's doable.
So
I mean,
I think as a faction, Minions is okay. As the game wide, it's pretty iffy on them.
Yeah, I would agree.
But the good news is that Minions is on the rise.
Yeah.
Significantly, we went from 6 players last year to 14 players this year.
Yeah, for sure the most players in a WTC ever.
Yes, they edged out 2 years ago, which was 12.
Yeah. Which was the year of the snake.
That was the year of the snake. I guess 2017 is the dark year, according to Sweden.
Yes, I thought 2017 was a terrible year for Minions. It was after the Snake Toss had gotten nerfed, which I think was good. I don't think that the Snake Toss should have been in the game, but Minions only had the Blind Water theme force for WTC, because we hadn't gotten the Wheelwork for food yet, and we were just lagging behind so far against other themes like Signar and Cryx and everything. So.
Well, and that was also the year of Ghost Fleet.
Yes.
And you can kind of see, like, if you look at it, it was 5 Rask, 4 Caliban, Carver, Sturm, and Jaga.
Yeah.
Caliban was considered to be the Ghost Fleet answer for however good a game that you could make out of that.
Yeah. Was Carver Sturm because of Asshole?
I believe so.
Yeah.
And then Jaga is also a Ghost Fleet answer at that time because she had magical weapons for everybody.
Yes. Yeah, that was before she had new and improved feet.
Or was 2017 the year that Azahul played Cryx and we made fun of him a lot?
Has he ever played Cryx? I think that's another cast
Oh wait, that
member.
was you. I'm
Yes.
getting... Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, all you Australians just kind of blend together.
Yeah.
You're North Australia.
Yeah.
He's South Australia.
Not even the right hemisphere. Come on.
The West Hemisphere. Come on.
Yeah.
Oops.
Anyway, I think we're seeing some good variety actually among the lists that we're seeing.
Yeah, we've got 9 Maelok, 7 Jaga, 6 Rask, then Arc, Barney 2, and Midas.
Hmm.
And I mean, you're definitely seeing that Pigs has not had a CID, and they are lagging behind.
Yeah.
There's kind of a theme here with the game as it currently is structured.
Yeah.
But you're also, I think, seeing more diversity and a better balance across these power, quote-unquote, power casters, the tier 1 stuff. You know, I mean, 976 is not a bad spread compared to 54111.
No, for sure, absolutely. And I think that Minions has a pretty good depth now, actually. You can... I mean, the meta is changing all the time, and I think Minions has some pretty good tools just to be able to take against stuff. Especially since we have some like generally good strong drops in the case of Rask and Arcadius, which is just just plain powerful. That's good.
Yeah, oh, they're both great. And you can also see that this meta shift towards the medium base infantry is reflected in minions as well. With Maelok went from 0 last year to 9 this year.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure they're all posse spam.
Yes, I think there's one with like a double spitter. But I mean, everybody plays them posse heavy.
So all in all, I think everything's looking up and is positive. Let's see. I guess there are a couple lists worth noting. From Australia, Woebegone.
More like Gabbledong.
You've been waiting for that.
Yes. And I'm also 5 years old.
I guess that'll be the South Australia.
Yeah.
This is Azahul. He was running Arcadius and Midas. And his Midas list looks pretty solid. Like, we need to get him back on here because he's got the 4 Splatterboars, Lanissa, Bone Grinders, double Brigands, double Slaughterhousers, and Valkyries.
Yeah.
And he's taken it in Thornfall, which, like, I waffle so much, but I think that going this way maximizes what Midas does, which is infantry. Even though Thornfall as a theme is probably weaker than Will Work for Food as a theme, this putting it in Thornfall maximizes what he is doing. So I can't really argue with that.
I mean, there's no denying that, like, Pharaoh Brigands, if they actually get the opportunity to do work, they're gonna do a whole lot of work.
Right. And the one thing is I've always kind of shied away from 2 units is because you can only death march 1 of the units.
Sure.
But that's just neither here nor there.
Yeah.
I mean, Valkyries are freaking amazing.
Yep.
The Splatterboars can drop clouds, which is very helpful. I think he mostly uses them for acid baths on opposing units.
I would guess so as well.
Body blocking.
Yeah. I mean, they're just like decently good value models. I mean, he is playing 2 points down, so I mean, he could, if he wanted to, upgrade to Splatterboars to Gunboars. But I guess there's some reason why he does not.
I think it's literally because of the acid.
Yeah.
The corrosion.
I mean, there's some thought behind it, and I'm not able to like decipher it. Like, without having played this list, it seems pretty slow for Steamroller right now, because nothing advanced deploys their speed 5. So I guess closing the starting roll might be bad.
And I mean, one of the things I've always kind of liked is having the Hambushers, which he's obviously skipped. It's not that the Hambushers are great; they just give you depth.
Yeah, it does seem like it can probably play pretty good into Anamag. I'm pretty sure he has some write-ups over at Lore Morse, which I have not looked at, but maybe there's something to be found there.
Yeah, I mean, particularly with that, because you can mess around with Anamag's Fury management quite a bit with the Splatterbores.
Yeah.
You just pick on the Blightbringer. And then...
I mean, Slaughterhouses, if they get the charge chosen, I think Chosen can just melt with Calamity and Hexblast, because he removes the Bond of Gristle and Bone, I think it's a spell, defensive spell. And no tough.
No tough stops that rapid healing tough aggravation.
Yeah.
And I mean, the Slaughterhousers become weapon masters. If you're playing into things like champions, they like to spread the damage. You put a couple rounds into the champions, and then they're all injured, and then the Slaughterhousers are all double weapon master.
Yeah.
Lanissa is obviously there for threat extension.
Yep.
So I mean, I see a lot of really good elements here.
Yep, for sure. It's gonna be interesting to see how it does.
We're cheering for you, man. Unless you play against North Australia.
Yeah, North Australia on the East Hemisphere.
And then working our way down from north to south, we have Poland. Marcin Nowicki is doing Rask Me Thresher. This proves that it is legitimate and not jank. It is in the WTC. I can hear your approval just coming through the micro. You're like so excited. You're just holding it all in. It's not healthy. You can let it out.
Yeah. So sorry, Marcin. You let me down gravely.
Don't listen to him.
Yeah.
Don't listen to him.
Yeah, I mean, it's like my one comment for his list is that he's lacking a wrestler, which I think is ballsy.
Yeah, and I mean, definitely in mine I do it, but technically speaking, you have the Battle Boar.
Yes.
So,
but
I mean, you're giving up 1 point, but you're getting back in Wrong Eye and Snapjaw.
Sure, but I mean, if you're relying on primal and like the activation issues, if Rask needs to juggle Fury, I mean, I can see that the list isn't like that affected by it, because you're gonna put Fury on the Meat Thresher, it's gonna do its thing, and then you cycle it to somewhere else. But it's still like, I mean, Rage is such an easy point and click buff that it's, I don't know, it's just going about a wrestler seems, in my opinion, not very nice.
And yeah, and I don't know his logic for it, but like I'm seeing the Witch Talk I love. He's got the 3 lessers. So, and he's got the Spitter with the Misspeaker.
Yeah.
So that's there for stealth sniping. I will say the other thing is that you can kind of take a little bit of the focus load off of Rask by just moving all that onto Rorsch. Because at that point, because you know Rask has 6 and he always wants to spend 6.
Yeah.
And that's always dangerous.
Sure. I mean, but it also sort of dictates where Rask needs to be and also his activation order. It's not the way I would play it, but we'll see what happens.
Yep. I mean, the best part is we get to see the results at the end of all this.
Yeah.
Let's see. I guess you have managed to sell someone on Min Posse Maelok.
Yeah. I'm happy to see that at least 2 teams are playing the full-on Min Posse Maelok. It's one of the Australian teams, one of the Austrian teams.
Brett Fogel's there with Arcadius Maelok. Classic.
Yeah. Meta defining. I would say that he's probably done more for minions this WTC than anyone else.
Hard to argue with that.
Yeah.
Let's see. New Zealand, double minion team.
Nice.
And with the bear. You see, if I get the Meat Thresher, then you get the bear.
Yeah, I love the bear. Actually, how many plays? Is it just me and him that plays Brandenlag? I need to check real quick.
He's got it in both his lists, I believe.
So we have...
so there should be 3 Brandenlag?
Yes.
Total? 3, yep.
Yep.
So it's just you and him?
Yep. Shout out to you, mister. Let's have beers. Bears.
Always a good one. Always a good one.
Yeah.
Then I actually had a question about a Swedish team, which I'm assuming you know all of them because there's only one town in Sweden.
Yes.
And that's Dave Lindegren's Barnabas 2 list has 2 blind walkers. And I know you were experimenting with blind walkers in it. Just two kind of popped out at me.
I I'm guessing the shield guard, maybe. He also has Valkyries, so I mean, I have been discussing with him. I'm not super sure about his reasoning behind Double Blind Walker. I
guess the other weird thing is this list is showing us 77 points. Oh, never mind. I'm reading it wrong. I'm sorry. Sorry, never mind.
Yeah. I mean, they are decent economy heavies. I get super tilted by Mat 5. But you do get some threat extension possibility out of Hunter's Mark. And they're big beefy guys. Like good trading enablers.
Right, and I know you've done a lot of power attacks with them.
Yes, that's like, I think that the main use is if you don't beef them up to PS19, I think one just goes up and does like a headbutt or a throw just to get a knockdown on something, and then something else finishes it off.
Which, I mean, it makes a lot of sense with Barnabas because he doesn't bring any hit fixing.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to bring it up because it popped out at me.
Yeah, you could also bring the bear instead for the knockdown animus and the Topen Fist at Mat 7.
The bears.
Just tossing it out there.
So, and then obviously we have our very own Rickard is in there.
Yeah, that guy.
Playing Jaga wrong, but that's okay.
Yeah, new and fresh Husk technology coming in.
Looks like you're playing Rask wrong as well. Shame.
Yeah, without a thresher, because I don't actually own one, so I just had to substitute it with a like a blackhead Rask.
It's like the freaking cheapest battle engine in the game to purchase.
I mean, I'm gonna transport a bulky Sacravolt, so I only have so much luggage space.
Oh, that's I'm changing my lists after this team tournament because I had to transport both the Thresher and a Vault.
Yeah.
And I was ready to like cry.
So you're gonna drop the Vault now, right?
I'm probably dropping both.
Okay.
Well, the thing is the parking garage was not near the hotel.
Oh.
And I was parked in the third basement.
Oh.
So I'm like trying to juggle my bag, and then this just box that I've tossed the Sacrovaults and the Thresher, they're like piled on top of each other like kids' toys.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a really good transport solution for the Sacrovault either. I have it like in a trash bag wrapped in foam and stuff, and it's like, ugh, I don't like this.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, battle engines are bad.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, WTC is in like 2 weeks, so it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. We will probably talk about it next cast.
We'll go through the numbers, we'll poke around them a little bit, and then I'll have had non-vacation time to get some dojo. I've got a couple of dojo items I want to go through as well.
Yeah.
So, got some pig stuff coming in.
Nice. Woo. Some big stuff.
Piggy pig. Alright, well, I'd say that's the cast. Thank you everyone for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.